Chapter 21 of the Great Cosmic Mother: Earth Spirit, Serpent Spirals, and Blind Springs. To all ancient people, the earth was alive, a great animal inhabited by a life spirit or soul substance. All phenomena were manifestations of this divine force, and after death, all forms return to this source before passing into another animate existence. The earth spirit was the central transformer of all life energies into the multiplicity of all life forms, all protoplasmically connected with each other as in the same body, the same imagination. In the Gaia hypothesis, Earth is defined as a living, breathing, co-responding body, creating its own atmosphere, filling its own needs, reliving its own stresses. Far from the patriarchal mechanical model of Earth as a merely passive receiver of stimuli from the earth and sky, this new model shows us an intentional organism, exhibiting will and direction, and quite capable of reciprocal relations with all its creatures. In the pattern of the past, Guy Underwood tells of his wanderings around Britain in search of ancient roads, animal tracks, stone circles, and other megalithic sites. Underwood, a water dowser, describes the earth force like a magnetic current emitted by underground waters in motions and under pressure. This force is affected by the movements of the stars, the moon, and the sun. In turn, it has great penetrative powers and affects the nerve cells of animals and humans. Modern Western science has not yet begun to study this force, but the Russians seem to be on track, particularly in their studies of water divining. Generated within the earth, this force causes wave motions of perpendicular to the earth's surface. In formed spiral patterns, also mazes and labyrinths, the spiral coils are based on multiples of 7. When manifested in spiral forms, it was seen as a catalyst with the construction of matter and with the generative powers of nature. It was part of the mechanism by which we call life comes into being. She, the joyous spiral. What Underwood calls primary lines, water lines, aquastats, and track lines were in ancient times considered healing holy. They have remained stationary since time immemorial. Among the Celts, Ellen Helena, the goddess of ancient tracks, was considered the first and oldest of all deities. Animals followed these tracks and used them to find suitable places to sleep and give birth. Migrations of birds and fish also follow these geodentic magnetic lines, finding their way instinctively over vast distances. Most ancient roads were aligned with these irregular and winding animal paths along the underground force lines. Another system of forces contracts and expands daily, making the earth a breathing animal indeed. Underwood found some of these secondary lines, along with geospirals, reverse their positions at each phase of the moon and every fortnight. The ancient calendar was lunar among the Celts. The months commenced on the 6th day after the new moon, while the year began on the 6th day after the new moon following the vernal equinox. Each month was divided into 2 fortnightly periods. It would seem that the Celtic calendar was based upon the phenomena of the fluctuation in secondary lines, since this provided the exact time once every fortnight, in relation to which dates and times for rituals and religious observances could then be fixed. The spiraling force forms an energy network all over the Earth's surface, affecting the germination and growth of trees and plants as well as animals. Here is the practical side of the goddess mythology and symbolism. The moon spirals earth and water, all related to the right time to plant different kinds of seeds according to the moon phases. Further, the magic earth current is known as the serpent force, or in China, the dragon current. Raising the serpent force is a common ancient rite of Native Americans, Hindus, Asians, Africans, and Celts of pagan Europe. The sacred serpentine paths were followed instinctively by the first nomadic tribes. Australian Aborigines make ritual journeys along these current paths in the steps of the gods who created the original divine landscape. They believed that each place of gods stopped and became manifest reality, a spiral center of energy. The dragon, the serpent on legs, was everywhere associated with creation and life giving. As Underwood says, the serpent is the one land living vertebra which naturally and frequently reproduces all the geodetic spiral patterns, and so it seems reasonable to assume that both the serpent and the spiral are representations of the geodetic spiral. And serpents and spirals are always associated with the goddess. The Cretan goddess of childbirth was accompanied by snakes, the umbilical cord of itself, the serpentine connection between the mother and new life. The mythic relation between serpents and earthweaver is also ancient. Sacred pools and underground springs are always legendarily guarded by magic snakes. A blind spring is a spot from which a number of underground streams flow, forming a radiating pattern of energy. Underwood noted that cows will break out of a field to reach a blind spring and give birth to their young there. This is true of all animal mothers. Perhaps the spiral energy patterns found over blind springs can ease labor and produce healthier offspring. Doubtless, ancient women also sought out the blind spring as a place for childbirth. According to Erich Neumann in The Great Mother, the earliest sacred precinct of the primordial age was probably that in which the woman gave birth. It is the place where the great goddess rules, and from which, as still as in later female mysteries, all males are excluded. Not only is the place of childbirth the sacral place in female life and early cultures, obviously it also stands at the center of all cults that are dedicated to the Great Mother as the goddess of fertility. The mysterious occurrence of menstruation and pregnancy and the dangerous episode of childbearing makes it necessary for the inexperienced woman to be initiated by those who are informed in these matters. The precinct is the natural social and psychological center of the female group, ruled over by the older experienced women. The blind spring is the esoteric center of the old religion, as well as being the physical center of its monuments. It was the holy healing ground, a place of harmonious powers where the goddess dwelt. Blind springs were to be found at the center of every prehistoric temple, as well as every medieval church in Britain and Europe, according to Underwood. Gates of cities and temples were also set over blind springs, giving divine protection to those entering and leaving. Holy healing and oracular wells were sunk into blind springs, and the most ancient of cities in the Near East, such as Jericho and Katal Hayuk, were built over such sacred wells. The subterranean water well was medicinal for a short season each year, when the animated spirit traveled through like an electrical current. Stones placed nearby probably served as storage batteries for its magnetic energies. The ancient idea of divine protection sanctity was expressed by encirclement. Monuments were enclosed by protective underground above ground in the foundation maze or labyrinth. All burial places were surrounded by underground streams. In mythology and fairy tale, all magic castles are surrounded by a circular moat or a rushing stream, and no magic rite can safely occur unless first a protective circle is drawn around it and its participants. There is general association of important prehistoric sites, geodetic lines, and underground water. Guy Underwood was a water diviner. This art, along with geodesy measurement of the Earth's surface, was part of the training of Celtic Druids. It was also practiced by the Scythian Anaers, who were legendary hermaphrodites. They wore women's clothes and received their gifts of divination from the Aphrodite. The Druids prophesied with the aid of willow wands, and the sacred tree to the moon goddess, the Eminares with a wand made from yew or mountain ash, trees sacred to the death goddess. Both willow and yew are used in water divining. John Mitchell in The Earth Spirit theorizes that a stream of life-giving magnetic current passes through the land once a year, following certain paths, the season determined by positions of the stars. Legendarily, this super energy transit was described as God passing through. Sacred calendars related to the local topography and myths and customs were based on a once unified system of awareness of the pathways of the earth spirit. Worldwide, the sacred energy pathways were marked by some human means: mounds, banks, ditches, dolmens, menhirs, and stone crosses, stone circles, terraces, and roads. In some places, the energy circuits were known as fairy paths. Roads of psychic activity and local peasant celebrations were timed to coincide with the current passage. Processional and holy ways were located along the raised serpent paths. Stone avenues representing the serpent led up to Stonehenge, which is an ancient temple of the moon and the serpent. As Mitchell describes it, a mercurial earth current glides towards it like a serpent towards an egg, moving through the earth's crust. All stones in such monuments are believed to have strong healing powers. In all ceremonies, the goddess was seen to approach her shrine by a particular route. She both followed and made the energy path. Once she was accompanied by her nomadic celebrants. With permanent settlements and agriculture, these sacred journeys were imitated by in religious processions. All these ceremonies were intended to energize and harmonize the people, as together they followed the path of the earth's magic life flow. And this is the real difference between the ancient science and modern. Modern technologies tend to cut across the lines of the earth force, arbitrarily and unconsciously separating human activities from the energy radiations of the earth. And so, setting humans and earth against each other in a force field of antagonistic vibrations. The old science and technology found ways to locate and tap the earth's natural force flow, integrating human and earth technologies through ritual in a strong, harmonious field. The operating principle of the ancient beliefs was the analogy between macrocosm and microcosm. What was true of the earth's body was also true of the bodies of all the creatures on earth. And so, analogous with the ancient science of geomancy is another ancient technique, acupuncture. As Mitchell writes, Chinese acupuncture treats the body by regulating the currents of vital energy that flow through the skin as the geomancer treats the body of the earth. Kirlian photography has shown us that ancient acupuncture points are identical with the points of great energy explosion on the skin's surface. We will find ways to take Kirlian photos of the whole Earth body, the globe's etheric body, and perhaps learn again to follow the energy charged serpent paths to the benefit of all life. It is cosmos to those who know the way, and chaos to those who lose it.